Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
Well, Andrew Fettis as I live and breathe.
Good morning, Mr. Dunning. Hey, that's quite the greeting. Now, are you okay?
Yes, I'm okay, mate. I was just attempting, and quite clearly failing, to bring some gravitas and professionalism to the pod.
Yeah, after 5 years, I think that's probably a lost cause, mate. But fortunately, our listeners and viewers are still here, and they are going to be rewarded today, aren't they?
Oh, they are indeed, Drew. Today's episode is one of our eagerly awaited and much-loved best of highlight shows.
Certainly is, Sam. Specifically, this is our Best of Guests episode. And hasn't it been fun going back over and choosing our favourite moments from all our visitors' shows?
Oh, 100%, Drew. We started the season with a bang. Double Trouble, the wonderful Emily Juler and Tom Capper, who are a brilliant duo both in performance and in life.
And next, we welcomed a recent colleague of yours, the extremely talented puppeteer, Kim Scopes.
After that, fellow podcaster, presenter and all-round lovely bloke Christophe Philipps popped in for a chat that both shocked us and made us smile.
Yeah, right there. Next up, the ball of energy that is Tommy Murray, an extremely funny actor and physical comedian who had us grinning from the word go.
Yeah, our penultimate visitor was Vittorio Verta, a man whose knowledge of stage lighting design and programming seemingly knows no limits.
And to finish off what has been a fabulous season of Drewling Samantics guests, the beautiful and lovely Liz Garland dropped in to regale us with tales of writing, acting and creating brand new theatre.
Yeah, what an amazing collection of people and performers, Drew. Safe to say, we were spoilt yet again.
We were, mate, we were. Well, let's not waste time waxing lyrical about them any further. Let's give them the chance to confirm what we're saying about them. Ladies and gents, here is Drewling Samantics, Season 15, Best of Guests.
I went to the Birmingham School of Acting from school. So I went there when I was 18, which I think now is the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire. And so I went there at 18, did 3 years, and then went into the business, which was wonderful and a huge shock to the system. I worked, I didn't work, did all sorts of things in between. But I think I got the bug really early on. I started dancing from probably 3 or 4. And then I think few years on, my mum sent my brother to drama lessons because he wasn't very confident, didn't like speaking in front of people. So obviously you send that child to a drama class. And he absolutely hated it. But I would watch them through the door when we picked him up. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely what I want to do. So I couldn't do both. I couldn't do dancing and drama. So I chose drama. And I think I decided from the age of 8 that I wanted to be an actor. I didn't really know what that meant. But we had a production of The Snow Queen that came round to my first school. And I still remember it to this day. And I just thought it was the most incredible thing I had ever seen. And I think it was sort of one of the catalysts to going, wow, you can do this for a job. And this is what I want to do with my life.
Wow.
So, yeah, started early.
A proper success story then. What you set out to do is what you're doing. That's not normal.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, and I think we have, well, I definitely have to remind myself of that, because I think at times you go, oh, you look at the jobs that you missed out on, or you look at your peers who are further ahead, and then you have to catch yourself and go, actually, no, I may not be where my sort of ego a lot of the time wants to be, but I am doing what I set out to do as a little girl. You know, I am a working actor. Yes, a lot of the time I'm not in the rehearsal room, but I'm still a working actor because I'm doing things like this, or I am teaching, I'm sharing my skills in another way. So yeah, really, really good point there, Sam. Thank you.
Can we have that in writing? I made a good point, Drew. Did you hear that?
I'll note that one down. I'll go back to the dusty annals of Drewling Samantics and put it next to the last good point you made.
Thank you, mate. I'm on 2. We're keeping it. And if you don't mind, Christophe, please explain to all the lovely listeners and viewers who you are, what you do, and why you're here, maybe.
Well, okay. So it's a really tricky question because I've always done loads of different things creatively. You know, I started as a singer-songwriter. You know, these aren't just props. These are actual instruments.
Yeah, for anyone listening, Christophe's got a fabulous collection of guitars. So I think we've got electric. Is that banjo or ukulele? I can't quite tell.
Banjo,
and then
bass.
And that's a bass on the far end, yeah.
There's about 7 or 8 others in the loft, let alone the ones that are in the well, I mean, the boat space.
Yes.
But I then kind of moved from that into performing on stage, which got me into writing. So I then went and trained as a writer as well. I've staged my own productions. So I've been a producer and a director. And of course, once you go professional, you start doing whatever the job demands. You know, what's that old adage? You say yes and work out how to do the job later.
Yeah.
And it really does take you crazy places. But like you said, I have moved away a little bit from the more performance side, and these days I'm focusing much more on being an event MC and a kind of on-camera presenter. So I bring a lot of different skills in, and it's all that background is not wasted time. This is totally what has made me and given me the skills that I draw on every day. But life is a funny thing, as I'm sure we'll get into, but it does take you places for sure.
And good morning to the lovely, lovely Miss Kim Scopes, who is joining us all the way from, well, actually, you're not that far away, you're just down the road. But to make life easier, we've jumped on Zoom. We really need to do some in-person stuff, Drew. I'm going off on a tangent. This isn't about that. We'll come back to where we're supposed to be. Kim's here, everyone. Look, hi, Kim.
Hello.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, good morning. How are you guys?
We're good. That happens all the time, Kip. That may well happen through the our chat here. That Sam will have a little wander off down Dunning Avenue, and we don't know where he'll be back. When he'll be back. So
yeah. I mean, to be fair, you'd spent the best part of 2 and a bit months with me. So
in a basement room. You know,
yeah. That makes it sound even weirder.
Now you're going to have to explain that. Yeah,
it was.
That sounds like a hostage situation, Kip.
But which way round, Drew?
Exactly, that was my next question, Drew.
Yeah.
Which way round? Depends on the day, really.
Okay.
So we've hit all possible targets we could possibly in this world. I've gone off on a wander. We've said something really creepy and weird. We're managing a standard episode. So before we get into why we're in a basement together for 2.5 months and other such weird and wonderful things, Kim, can you please explain to all our lovely listeners and watchers exactly who you are and what you do?
Hello, my name is Kim. I am and have been for the past... I just watched Traitors last night, so I nearly went, I have been, and always have been. I am a puppeteer and a theatre maker and an actor. I have been for the past 14 years. I mostly do puppetry, especially for commercials, television, and large-scale puppets for theatre. I have occasionally made my own solo show. I haven't for a while, and I'm pondering with making another one soon. But I have also started performing in cabaret, so I've started doing some cabaret acts. Yes. What else do you need to know? I'm never good at these introductions.
That's it. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Perfect.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Was there a moment on this sort of early stuff where you kind of went, right, this is now making sense, this is absolutely my pathway, this is my future? Or is it always just more learning and more stuff coming in and going, I hadn't thought of that route? Or
it's always, this industry is, you always learn something new every day. Like, I've always wanted to be within this industry. I've never wanted to be something different. I mean, I float the idea to my husband that I want to own a sandwich shop when I retire, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. But it's like the other side of the spectrum. Like, all my friends are in this industry with me, and they know what it's like. but every day is a learning thing. And, you know, I just come off a show and I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like, no one knows everything in this world. Like, there's new softwares, there's new ways of doing things. And I feel very privileged to learn it and do my job. And it's not really a job for me. It's something fun I get to do every day, and the bonus is I get paid for it.
It's interesting you say, because your world, I mean, the two aspects of a show, your world changes so quickly from a tech point of view. It is, I mean, it's just, as you say, every day something new, every day a different way of producing the work. And our side is kind of like, well, that hasn't changed in centuries. We just, there's a friend of mine's got on his passport, dresses up and shouts for a living,
Yeah.
We haven't really changed. We have to learn about it. And I think sometimes there's a reluctance to learn, about what people like yourself are challenged with and manage to achieve, sometimes on a wonderful budget, sometimes on very little. But,
of course.
That happens so quickly that I don't think we performers, I don't think we really acknowledge how, as you say, how much hard work it is. And sometimes you go, well, we're not doing it like that now. We're going to do it like this. And you go, oh, Christ, I have to change my whole approach to this.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've worked on like tiny productions to quite nicely budgeted productions.
Yeah.
And there's so many different approach. And I agree with you. Performers don't actually realize that we're in before them. We are still there after you guys leave.
Yeah.
And they come in and goes, oh, I'm so tired. And you look at them going, you have no idea. You do not know I feel for so many like industry professionals, because the amount of hours we do is quite bad.
Oh yeah.
I think that's sort of the hidden thing to the industry in general, isn't it? And it's not a pissing contest like, oh, we've been in for this much longer, blah, blah. But it's that commitment beyond it. Whether it's a performer spending 3 or 4 hours in an evening learning lines, they're not working that day, they're not being paid, but they're still doing it. Or you'll go to bed, I'm sure, with lighting cues in your brain and thinking, and then you'll wake up, oh God, if I change that again, it's not a specific paid moment, or it's not that's part of the thing.
No,
but you're so immersed in it, and it's so ongoing at all times that it completely sort of envelops you. But as you say, I think we're all in the same boat where we're very lucky to go, yes, this is my job. Yes, I work really hard. Yes, I get paid for it, but I fucking love it as well.
Exactly.
That's the real big bonus to it. The wonderful married couple that is Emily Juler and Tom Capper are joining us on Drewling Samantics. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to our weird world, and thank you for being a part of it today.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
No problem. Yeah.
No, it's lovely to see. It really is. Thank you.
Pleasure is all ours. But rather than me and Drew making an entire mess of introducing and explaining everything, we'll do what we always do when we have guests on and get the people who really know you, i.e. you, to tell all our listeners and viewers exactly who you are and what you do. And from there, we'll go into endless spiel about the things that we love doing. So please give us a quick sort of intro background. Who are you? What do you do?
Shall I go first?
Yeah, go on.
So I'm Emily Juler. I trained in musical theatre, and I basically will do any performing work really within reason that I get paid for. So I've had all sorts of different jobs: children's theatre, big camp Christmas shows, small scale touring, putting up the set, driving the van, performing in the rain. And sort of all sorts of different acting jobs, and then also a lot of teaching as well in between. I've just had a student leave just now, doing a little musical theatre lesson. We've done a few jobs together, haven't we? But it's musical theatre's the passion really, but all sorts of performing. And I used to sort of dip my toes into stand-up comedy as well, but not much anymore, but a little bit.
Very Go on then.
Right.
Tom, your wife set the standard now.
I know, I can't really follow that. That's quite hard, isn't it? Very similar. I had the horrible realisation that this year it'll be 20 years since I left drama school in September. So again, very, very similar. Pretty much whatever I get paid for within reason. But again, for me, it's a lot of children's theatre again, but a lot of panto as well. I've sort of nearly pretty much played everything I could actually get cast for in panto.
Yeah, no princesses.
No princesses, no princesses, no leading men, but pretty much everything else.
Well, the future is still there. You may
exactly.
Don't write it off.
I would never write it off, but it's as I'm aging up, I'm like, this is getting less and less likely.
I'm glad that's something that's obviously come across and stuck with you. That that is obviously kind of my style, and I suppose in a way it does go back to my interest in kind of slapstick physical theatre comedy goes back to the fact that I did actually have a drama teacher. It was an amazing drama teacher, a wonderful person. Had lots of really amazing, inspiring stories. But one of the things that I do recall him saying was that if you keep falling over in the productions, you're not gonna kind of make a living of this, because there's kind of more to it than that. And I've kind of done everything in my power from that point to kind of try to prove that theory wrong, really. Because he had lots of really wise and wonderful things to say. But I think trying to sort of play on my strengths and my interest in the ability to kind of tumble around, a la Charlie Chaplin and kind of Norman Wisdom. I think I just had tried to hope that kind of stuck, and clearly it has for you. So I appreciate it. You remembering that.
I know you're great. One of your influences, I mean, from looking at some of the photographs and stuff, is Harold Lloyd, and you have a stunning resemblance to him when I mean, and behind it, the people that are not watching on YouTube cannot appreciate the fact that sitting behind Tommy is a Derby from the famous Chaplin, who was my huge influence. So that was one of my influences before going to drama school. That got me into. I did a lot of falling about as a youngster. So the Harold Lloyd thing and that wonderful slapstick that's obviously had a bearing on what you do now.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's all kind of interconnected in a way, and again, I appreciate you, Drew, noticing the Harold Lloyd world that has become a big part of what I'm certainly kind of doing and growing and bubbling away with at the minute. Because I mean, I think, like as you say, some people interested in Chaplin, or it might be the Chuckle Brothers or whatever, Morecambe and Wise. Everyone's got their little hooks, their things that they kind of remember. And again, I know we've had a lot of unrecorded conversations, Sam, about when we've talked about different influences, and I think everyone kind of starts with one of those, if they're kind of in that background or interest. So for me it was Chaplin, but that was kind of influence from my grandparents, or my granddad specifically, who was into Laurel and Hardy. So it was kind of like it follows on. But then it was my dad who introduced me to Harold Lloyd. So it's kind of, it's a constant kind of conversation. And it's like the sort of, I like to think of it as this sort of, I'm not particularly a kind of comic book fanatic, but my brother is very much into his Marvel and DC, and I think of it as a sort of multiverse, but of comedy, and that this idea that you kind of once you unlock the key, you find the key to the Pandora's box, then you kind of you really can just go want to go on a YouTube deep dive and find out so much information about all these kind of wonderful characters.
I can't remember who it was, but the guy was talking about making pottery. He said, I make a cup, I fire that's my, I said, then I give it to someone else. They put it in a shop and they sell it and they make money. And then someone takes it home, puts it on a shelf, and they have a drink from it. They're no longer thirsty. And then when somebody else comes in that home, they give them that mug to drink from, and they drink from it. And then he said, it starts with a lump of clay, a small nugget, but goes on to give so much. And that's what Becoming Simone is going to do.
I love that, Drew. It is a ripple effect, and it's being able to, I think, it's not just about the play, although, please come and see it. But it is, it is about how how the artists that you are working with, how they feel about it, how they feel about themselves after the production. And our director, Jo, or she always says, it's people first. And I love that. And it's like, can we create a space which is just so welcoming and empowering for people?
So puppetry, something you'd always wanted to do, or something you fell into, or a combination of the two somehow?
Completely fell into it by accident. I went to drama school. I went to East 15. Well, actually, before that, I went to the University of Salford, and I thought I was going to be a performance artist. So I went down the whole performance art, devised theatre, experimental theatre route. And then once I finished my degree, I thought, nah, fuck that. I'm going to go to drama school because that'll be easy. And then went to East 15 for the master's degree back in 2010. And then, no, I never really thought about puppetry. I loved puppets growing up. I was a massive fan of the Muppets. And apparently when I was really small, I used to make puppet shows because my parents bought me little, like, kid marionettes. But I didn't remember that. But when I finished at East 15, I fell very quickly into children's theatre. And the company I was working with, who are no longer around, they used a lot of puppets in their shows. And I just kind of really fell in love with it and didn't realise that it was not a skill that I had, but something I definitely had an inclination towards, I guess. And it was the time that Warhorse was first kind of hitting the stage in the National Theatre, so puppetry was kind of exploding. And a few friends ended up in the show, very good for them. And after the children's theatre tours, several of them, by the end of the tour, I was running the puppetry workshops for the schools and the theatres that we were going to, which was really fun, actually, and I really enjoyed. And then straight after that, I got a role in a puppetry show called Boris and Sergei's Vaudevillian Adventure, which went to Edinburgh Fringe in 2012. And it was basically a late night cabaret puppetry, like comedy show that was improvised with 2 leathery bunraku puppets and 6 of us on stage. And the show did really well. We sold out for the entire month.
Wow.
And it made quite a impact, I think, on the puppetry community and also just the fringe theatre circuit. And was just really great fun. I've, still got friends for life from that show. And then suddenly everyone just went, oh, you're a puppeteer now. Including my agent. They went, oh, yeah, that's what you do now. You're a puppeteer. I was like, oh, I guess I am. And, puppeteers are quite chilled out, easygoing people, as Sam knows, because, he's worked with a few over Christmas.
Yeah.
And then after that show, I somehow ended up in working on my first TV series, a series called Strange Hill High. On the second series of that, because a friend of mine was filming on it, couldn't do the second series, and literally went, do you want to audition? And again, made friends for life on that show, who I worked with very recently for a commercial I did in October in Prague. But yeah, it just kind of flipped almost, I want to say overnight, but it wasn't overnight. It was over the period of 2 years. And I still do act occasionally. Last year I was in a show called At Last with Perforce Theatre in the Lion and Unicorn, which was very nice to act again, to be honest. But yeah, I fell into puppetry completely, and I really enjoy it. It's taken me all over the world, and I've got some friends for life from it, and have done some strange things, and I'm very grateful to it for that.
You talk about, those in the know there are so many different styles of puppetry, and we see, we see the glove puppets, marionettes, etc. Do you work across sort of all those disciplines? Or is there
quite a few, but not all. I don't do marionettes. Right. Marionettes is a whole different skill set, and I have so much respect for marionettists because it looks impossible to me, and when I have tried it, it is impossible. So I don't know how they do it. Bori, a friend of ours, Sam, is a marionettist, so I've been meaning to go and annoy her for a little while. But no, I specialise in what we call bunraku, which is a Japanese form of puppetry, which is 3 people on 1 puppet. Boris and Sergei were bunraku puppets. Quite a few of the puppets I've worked on are similar, including for a company I work for quite a lot called Twice Shy. But I also do a lot of rod and, we call it, actually the glove puppets, the Muppet style is actually called clap mouth, because you clap for the mouth. Right. And it sounds disgusting, and I'm sticking with it. So I specialize in that. Also rod puppetry for TV. So where the rods come from underneath the puppet and you're underneath the camera, basically, like controlling from underneath the screen. But recently I did a world tour of a show called Dinosaur World Live, which is a huge dinosaur children's theatre show. It's very cute. It's a really sweet show. And we went to China and Australia for that. But that would be called harness puppetry, where you're literally inside the puppet strapped in a harness, very similar to Warhorse.
Years ago, when we got this house and we were getting our mortgage, at one point the bank suddenly pushed back and said, hang on a minute, you said you were an actor, but you've listed that you do all of these different things. It's like, yeah, that's the job of an actor. That's what it means to be an actor. You do this. Well, you've changed what you do as a profession, so we're going to withdraw the mortgage offer. And I was like, no. The only thing that's changed is your understanding of what I do. My job has stayed the same. I've always provided all my, my invoices or whatever that they needed to see. And they went, oh yeah, fair enough. It's just a matter of perspective.
You won against the bank. What?
That was the bank. Yeah, that was the bank.
You beat the bank, and we're not talking about some weird game show here. You genuinely, wow.
Well, I don't know if I beat them, because that was convincing them to give me money at a massive markup.
What?
So I think,
yeah. Yeah, okay.
But it is that. It's
My granddad was a great influence. He was the one who introduced me to Laurel and Hardy, and kind of what was quite a sad year was that the year that I went to the Edinburgh Fringe, which was really exciting, was also the year that my grandfather had passed away, but my granddad coincidentally was Scottish, hence the name Murray. And so we decided as a family that, as I was going to the Edinburgh Fringe, what a great tribute to him, that I would perhaps, carry his ashes. We've talked a lot about journeys today. Carry his ashes on a journey to Edinburgh. And then I would do the Edinburgh Fringe before, tech the show, and then carry his ashes over to Glasgow, where I'd meet my family, and we'd, scatter his ashes into the skyline of, of the beautiful, Scottish vistas. However, there was a couple of little kind of adventures along the way. One which was that I obviously had to get his ashes, the box of ashes into the suitcase, and we stopped at the services. I was being driven by Michael, who'd written the sketches, and my dad, I was obviously 16, 17, so my dad was looking after this, my mum were looking after this adolescent that I was. So they dropped Michael a text, to say, have a safe drive, look after my son and my dad. And so Michael in the services says, so yeah, I get it. You look after your son. That's you. But what does he mean? Look after my dad? And I said, right. So yeah, I should explain. This isn't you just driving me to Edinburgh. This is an operation. This is quite, this is a plan. We're taking my granddad's ashes up to Scotland. That's what's in your boot with all the props. Do just be careful with the props, because obviously, my granddad's ashes are, you're carrying my granddad's body to Scotland in ash form. And then we arrived to Scotland. To Edinburgh. My granddad lived for the 2 weeks that we were there in his box behind the curtains, and no one else knew that my granddad was there. Resting in peace. And then I proceeded to enjoy the Fringe festivities and carry my granddad in my suitcase, in the box inside the suitcase, to Glasgow. So I took the bus over to Glasgow, coach, arrived to the coach station, got off the coach, got into the bathroom in the service station, in the coach station, went through the turnstile as you do, put my 20p in as you did in 2012, put myself up to the urinal. You understand how bathrooms and toilet making works, and and as I was releasing my flies, I realised, I've left my granddad on the coach.
How can you forget the one thing, the most important element of your whole journey?
I know, mate. To be fair, Tommy's always been a character, and honestly, crazy things like this happening seem almost appropriate for him.
So, before we hear the rest of the story, which I sincerely hope has a happy ending, let's top up the drinks.
Yeah, good idea, Drew.
Right, done.
Yeah, me too. So let's get back to Tommy and find out if he was reunited with his granddad.
So then I proceeded to run out into the coach station and said to the man, "Where's the coach?" And he replied in his sort of Glasgow accent, which is wonderful, beautiful, and I won't attempt in any way, out of respect for him and my granddad. And he said, "Oh, it's," and I'm thinking that he's going to say that it's gone back to Edinburgh, it's gone. He said, "Oh, it's just around the corner." I said, "Right, phew." And then fantastically, I saved the suitcase, and I was able to head to my hotel. So I made it to the hotel, and I met my family, and we were, so pleased that I'd been able to make this pilgrimage, and pay homage and tribute to my granddad. And so we actually went to the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery. I took my suitcase along, and we took out the box of my granddad's ashes. That had managed to make their way all the way from Kent to Glasgow, and the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery is one of my granddad's favourite kind of museums, and it was wonderful. It was going to be this beautiful tribute. It was stone's throw from the Britannia Panopticon, which is the oldest surviving music hall in the world. All very theatrical and wonderful. So what we did is we opened up the box, and my brother's there waving a Scottish flag, and my mum and dad are there, and we're gonna sing the Skyboat song or something, and it's gonna be a wonderful tribute. But unfortunately, in kind of true comedy fashion, the wind was blowing in the wrong direction. So if anyone ever asks you, I don't know if you've ever had this question asked to you, but someone asked me, what does your granddad taste like? That I can tell them, and it really is. It is kind of really. It feels like comedy fiction, and it's actually. I actually watched an Outnumbered episode. They had a Christmas special, and it was a very similar kind of scene took place, and I thought, they've ripped off my life, So if you can imagine, Hugh Dennis, Claire Skinner were there, and my mum and dad, and and that occurred. Although in some ways, as kind of twisted, weird, and wonderful as that is, what I do find quite lovely is that the Britannia Panopticon music hall was actually the first place that Stan Laurel performed. He made his stage debut in I think it was I wrote this down so I could remember it, in 1906. And so, kind of in a full circle, as we've today made all these kind of connections and conversations about comedy and kind of my life and your lives and how they kind of cross paths. I do think that, it was a very Laurel and Hardy style story. And I can kind of imagine Laurel and Hardy or even Charlie Chaplin bumbling from Edinburgh to Glasgow and just trying to stop their hat from blowing off in the wind in kind of true Harold Lloyd fashion. So There you are.
Do you work together a lot now? Is it something you enjoy doing? Do you, I mean, because I work a lot with my wife, and we actively choose to work together, but then again we go, well, you're going to do your thing and I'll do my thing. Is it, do you actively look for work together? Is that something you really enjoy? It's just nice to hear
Well,
other
I
people
do. Do you?
Yeah, we really do. Like,
Drew, you might be about to split up 12
I
years.
just ruined.
11 years and a bit.
I was well impressed that Tom went, yes, it's 12 years in April. It's like, well remembered.
He's
Well
much
remembered.
better than
she
me.
never
Oh,
remembers.
really?
We gender switch for a lot of things, aren't we, on that? Yeah, I'm
excellent
rubbish.
stuff.
But we've been quite lucky, I think, because we've had some really great jobs together. We've had some not so great jobs together, but that's just.
Yeah.
But when we've been like, we did one last year where we were doing a play on a bus,
Oh, it was so fun.
and there were the way it's a ink festival, which is amazing, and it's like all new writing and all this sort of stuff, and they have they call them pods, so each pod has normally like 5 scripts that you learn.
It's all short plays.
All like 10 to 15 minute plays of all different types. But ours, we got brought in again at the last minute. It seems to be a factor. And it was just a play on a bus. So it was just the 2 of us. And then the audience sat in the bus seats.
He was so good. I really enjoyed it. It was the premise was that we were teachers on D of E, and Tom's character had a midlife crisis and stolen the bus. And so I was sort of like talking him down, trying to get him to come back to the kids, and it was really well written.
It was really well written. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
Did you get to drive the bus? I've got to ask. Did you get to drive the bus?
Well, I don't actually, but I did. I sort of get into the seat, sort of shut the door, and then sort of like look like I'm about to do something, and then just literally slam my head on.
That's the end, wasn't it?
Slam my head on, and that's what sort of started everything off.
Right.
So it was kind of like that's how Emily would kind of know that things were going on.
So
but we never actually drove.
Did that then generate almost genuine panic in people sat on the bus? Because obviously they've come on to watch a play, and some guy's got on, looks a bit concerned, and is sat and is about to drive away. I mean,
no one said they did.
No one did.
They?
No one seemed to. Everyone just kind of seemed to sort of be
I think they knew what they were signing up for. I think they were clear. Maybe, I don't know.
Did a tour last year, and I was up front of house, doing my job, and I just look over and I'm like, what is going on? And someone decided to storm the stage while this person was performing. Oh. And our bass player, we all love this artist dearly. They have a very, very special place in our hearts. Our bass player decided to dance with this person who was very, very drunk. Sorry, it's my dog. He was very, very drunk.
What was in the background?
Yeah. He was very, very drunk. And then next thing, our management, our tour manager and one of our audio techs just blissfully storms the stage on the other side of the stage while this artist was on, far stage left, not noticing a thing, and just dances with this lady off stage. While security are just watching us do all of this, by the way, they didn't do anything. And the woman comes up to us and she goes, "That was a fantastic show, blah, 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 all of this. And then management, you are barred and banned from every show we do." Oh. We didn't realise that later on she took a bit of equipment of ours as a souvenir. And you can't really use that bit of equipment without having the actual stuff to use. So yeah, we later found out she stole from us.
Oh my God.
And then waited for us after the show and was like, "I love you all." We're like, "You don't even know us. Please leave."
Wow.
Crazy.
That's extraordinary. Actors become out of necessity and sometimes wish we get typecast, and you think, well, and a lot of things like determine that age, body shape, ability, whatever. But I mean, the wonderful thing is you're never going to be typecast because all those wonderful different characters and puppets that you can inhabit and bring to life. There's a whole. It's never ending, really, is it?
Yeah, I've never thought of it like that, to be honest. I guess sometimes I get associated with certain styles of puppetry, but not in the sense of being typecast. It's really nice that, I've puppeted all sorts of characters, regardless of gender or species.
Sure.
That is what part of the really enjoyable thing. And also there's a variety in each puppet. I don't know, the feeling of it changes because every puppet is so different with how many people puppeteer it. So Bunraku has 3 people on it. I've puppeteered on some puppets that have 5, 6 people on it, or some that are just me. even the mix of how many different people are on it and who those people are kind of make it feel so varied. So even if you can, if you're working with someone and they're in a different mood today, you can pick up on it because of the puppetry they're doing. So it affects the whole performance that you're doing and everything.
And if you were to swap out one of those operators, would that then change the character
totally.
of the puppet? Yeah,
absolutely. Everyone's got their own tempo and everyone's got their own. I tend to think of it as a frequency, but I'm not a wanker. But everyone's got their own, everyone's vibrating at a different point. So when you're, especially in proximity with that person and you're working so closely, you do really pick up on their little differences, even if they deliver the lines differently or, I don't know, breathe differently, because a lot of puppetry, when you connect with another puppeteer, it's non-verbal. So we can't obviously talk while we're performing. It has to be through peripheral vision and breath cues, or even just knowing what that person is prone to do within a certain situation. It really changes the whole performance and it's really enjoyable. So sometimes it's a treat to get someone completely new in a puppet because you've got no idea what's going to happen. Sometimes you're like, oh God, what's going to happen? Because this puppet's 80 kilograms and we need to know what this person's going to do. So swapping even one person out, or one person having, I don't know, being a bit more playful one day, really can affect everything. Or, you get the giggles inside a puppet, which happens all the time. It means every day is different. Even though you're going through the same motions or some of the same motions, it feels completely different, which is really nice.
The start of your career was very much as a young child going, this is what I want to do. That then materialised by doing your training, graduating. Were you straight into work out of training? Were you one of the lucky ones who did find stuff straight away?
So I left drama school with a job. I did a tour of Arms and the Man. And that was brilliant. But then after that, I didn't work. And so I think I had that initial, I've left drama school, I've got a job, I've got a good agent, everything's just going to happen now. And then it didn't. And so I think it was sort of that, there was a sort of delayed reaction of what the reality is. And I don't think I was prepared enough at drama school of what it was actually going to look like. They said, I don't know, maybe 2 of you might go on to have a career and the rest won't. But you go to drama school and you believe that you're going to be one of the ones to do it. So I don't think any of us really took that in. So I don't think I was fully prepared for what it was going to look like after that job ended.
That's interesting.
I think we're all like that to an extent, though. And I think you can look outside of our industry and kind of go, well, people go to university and study a certain subject, and that's because that's what they want to do. But how many people do end up going straight into that? I mean, I think probably more for certain areas of work, and perhaps more so than what we do. But certainly we are in this heavily overpopulated, enormously competitive industry. And those of us who are making a living and getting by through life, not supplementing with something else, we're very lucky, but have worked very hard to get where we are. So do you get a chance to, as much as you get a chance to work together and to work separately, do you get a chance to create together? Have you had sort of shows that you've put together yourselves, or is that something that maybe somewhere down the line you'd like to do?
Would be good, wouldn't it?
I mean, the kind of that first murder mystery thing we did was that we wrote that as a collaborating together, and then with a friend of ours. And I am in the midst of writing a musical with a friend of mine. He decided he approached me about a musical, a sci-fi novel that I was like, we should turn this into play. Into a musical. I was like, great. And then he was like, actually, I'm not sure if we'll get the rights, so let's do one about the gay bomb instead. I was like, sorry? So there is a really weird bit of trivia that basically in the late 90s, early 2000s, the Americans decided that they would try and develop a chemical weapon that would turn soldiers gay so that they would become an ineffective fighting force. And so,
wow. Okay.
Oh, that's an incredible premise.
It's an incredible premise. And so my friend Matt and I decided to kind of write a sort of a kind of alternate America. What if a female, very right-wing Republican president was in and needed something to kind of allow an award to go ahead with Canada and all of this sort of stuff. And also decided that one of the best projects to bring back was the gay bomb.
I'm very lost for words. This
it's
But tell me what it's called.
It's called Weapons of Mass Seduction.
Oh my God.
I love that.
I can't take any credit for that. That was all my writing partner Matt's fantastic brain. But we're, through a very strange set of circumstances, we are now taking it to New York, apparently, in June. So a friend of his she does like a cabaret, like a really amazing like cabaret in a art space called Culture Lab in New York. And she was like, well, I could maybe see if they'll take us. And then they're like, yeah, so we're taking it to Culture Lab in June. So I'm like, right.
Right.
So I've got quite a lot of book to write at the moment.
I'm going to say you got a lot right there. I was once in Edinburgh and there was a show about it was a very complicated show, but I went to see it one night because I was at a loose end, and it was about a paedophile teacher, blah blah blah, who was a music teacher, and he had a protege who was a violin player. Yeah, it was called Kitty Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, no.
God.
And I know that was my reaction. I thought I've got to go and see this, and I sat with my friend who was a producer, who's a very very well known producer now. I won't mention his name, but he and I both sat there like this. Oh my God, what are we watching?
What sort of prep time has there been building up to? So obviously you go into rehearsals in a couple of weeks, but how long, because you're already programming stuff and already working on things for this one, how long in advance are you actually physically creating stuff for something like this?
It all depends. It honestly all depends on the show. Cobra, for example, I had a week when we spoke a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I had a week in an office, and it was me and the tour manager just sitting there, just throwing ideas together and getting a concept drawing and basically showing Cobra what it could look like.
Yeah.
Now that everything has been signed off, ish. Well, actually, this is going out soon. Now that everything has been signed off,
yeah.
We've got about a week.
Wow.
We've got a week to get this show ready before we fly out. And
that's not a week of Monday to Friday 9 to 5. That is putting the hours in.
That is Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. till whenever we finish.
Yeah, and just getting it done, because it's another one of those things where, and again, I think maybe not so much the performers, but perhaps audiences are slightly more guilty of, is you sort of go, oh gosh, there must be this long rehearsal period for singing or the learning lines or learning dance moves, but actually the tech side of things starts so much. It's like, and it's a slightly sort of not related, but it is related. You look at pantomime. Pantomime is one of the quickest and one of the slowest turnarounds. But so as a performer, quite often it's an intensive rehearsal period of, I don't know, 5 to 10 days, and then you go straight into shows. You do your 40, 50 shows over 25 odd dates or whatever, and then it's done. You go, well, relatively speaking, that's a very short period. But casting starts almost immediately that one has finished.
Yeah.
The next one begins, and planning the lighting, knowing the show, thinking about all those other techie things. So, and as you say, you've obviously got this massive tour coming up, but you're working on various other things simultaneously.
Yeah, I've got. I'm currently doing a one-off gig for. It's not really stuff I do, but I'm doing an escape room for someone.
Oh wow!
So They approached me and wanted a load of custom like escape room stuff, like electronics made. So I'm in the process of doing that. I've got a theatre show going out towards the end of the year, hopefully at the Union Theatre.
Oh, nice.
Ah, nice theatre.
You know, I've still got so many projects. I'm in the middle of production designing for a event in Manchester. Like, I've got all these shows going out. I don't have time to stop.
No.
and it's great. I love it.
Were you working quite young as a performer? Did you start
working? Yeah, I did. So I think, so I was 14 and, I expressed interest, with my family. And so they were able to get me find me a kind of a child's agency, sort of thing, and to express myself. And coincidentally, the agency, which I don't believe exists in the same form now, was called Expressions. So I was able to kind of express myself and do lots of different, auditions and things. But then it was when, it was sort of towards the latter part of when I was 14, that when I went for an audition for the English National Opera, that's kind of where everything kind of changed, really. And so that was, and I should probably try and, get over it and take it off for my CV because I was 14, and I'm now 32. But my West End debut, I mean, as whether or not that's, something to be kind of accolading this many years on, it's something that obviously stayed with me and it was able to give me these kind of, great experiences and the professionalism in, to carry on into adult life.
I once got a Secret Santa present from Jim Broadbent.
What the actual fuck?
Whoa.
Right.
So gosh, in 2016, I was in A Christmas Carol on the West End at the Noel Coward with Jim Broadbent. It was rewritten by Patrick Barlow, and of course those two were on National Theatre of Brent together years and years and years ago. So it was
brilliant
it was
show.
Very much a dream come true because I love old comedy like that. And it was obviously a Christmas show. He played Scrooge. I was part of the ensemble, and I was also puppeteering Tiny Tim. And as well as the ghosts of Christmas present, future and past, etc., etc. And we had on Christmas Eve we did a Secret Santa, all the cast, and also it was also with the lovely Amelia Bullmore and Sam Spiro and Idil Akhtar, who's obviously gone to do brilliant things, and Keir Charles as well, and Jack Parker, my fellow puppeteer, who's lovely. But on Christmas Eve we did a Secret Santa, and everyone took part, and everybody, we all kind of sat around on the stage with the Christmas trees. And everyone got, really nice bottles of champagne or candles or scarves. And then at the very end, I was guessed mine was last. I opened mine and it was one of these hideous little blue, like raccoon bear things, that you get them in like the tourist shops around London with the big glittery eyes and they're like super fluffy and look really terrified.
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't know who got it for me. So I was like, oh, thank you. This is nice. And Jim came up to me after the half before we had to get ready, and he was like, oh, "That's shit, isn't it?" And I was like, "Was it you?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm so sorry. I panicked. The costume lady told me to get something that make you laugh." I was like, "Oh," and I've still got it. I've got it somewhere. It's in my new place because I'm in the process of moving, but I'm going to keep that for life. I'll call him Little Jim.
Wow.
But yeah, he was a sweetie. He was always very naughty on stage as well. He'd never behave. He used to stand on our toes. If he was bored on stage, he used to just step on your feet. Bless him. What a legend.
There was something, and it's a delicate matter, but it is actually a very positive aspect of your life where you had something happen to you, and I'm going to let you discuss it in more and introduce us to that because you will put it and deal with it much better than me. In essence, you look at it and go, "This must have been a terribly dark period," and it probably was, but. Chatting as we were just before, we started recording, and you put it in such a wonderful way of saying, actually, there was a wonderful, silver lining to what happened, and sitting there talking wonderfully about what you create and how you work. You are evidence that better things, much better things could happen. So, Christophe, tell us what this big thing, massive thing that happened, and how you have just spun it into something so positive.
Well, I mean, first of all, thank you for that wonderful summary of my efforts. I mean, I don't feel at all like I'm being that positive all the time. Let me say, yeah, there was a big thing. So in about summer 2024, I was diagnosed with throat cancer. Now, cancer is pretty scary in its own right, and I was very lucky that it was, it's random. It was caused by a virus, so it's just a thing that can happen. I had no idea viruses could do that.
Wow.
But it was very self-contained. It was in my right tonsil, and I had to start chemo and radiotherapy. So, it was a 6-week program of treatment. They've given me 2 years of what will be termed as recovery. But I'm about a year on from the worst of my symptoms after recovery. In March of last year, I got my first all clear, and so far I'm all clear. I've been going in every 6 weeks.
Fantastic.
And I think that's actually shifting to every 2 months or every 3 months, something like that. And it kind of gets longer and longer. And it's a 5-year kind of block of time before you fully get to ring that bell. But like you said, this is why I find it so touching when you summarize it as being really positive. It's a big, dark, dangerous thing, having cancer. But I was very lucky. It was found in reasonably good time. It was actually misdiagnosed for kind of 6 to 8 months, something like that. But, it was still self-contained. I responded well to treatment, and I've been able to start building things up. But there's a whole other aspect to it, aside from just the kind of mortal threat and the impact it has on you as a person and your family and your finances and things. And that's because it was throat cancer for someone who uses their voice in their work. Started as a singer-songwriter. So, and I've talked about this with lots of people, and in that way, it's not delicate. I would rather break the taboo. But it's very difficult to say, well, I'm a creative that started as a singer-songwriter. That's my foundation. And I can't sing anymore. Who am I?
Yeah.
And it's really weird to change your creative identity, but to even ask that question and not have a solid answer. It's a voyage of discovery, if you like. It's a path I've had to embark on, not by choice, but by necessity. But weirdly, it's leading me into places that feel absolutely like the right place I should be, and like it's a positive choice. So, every day I don't feel positive. I miss singing, and I miss picking up the guitar and being that guy, and being relatively carefree about my health. I miss all of that. But it's not that what I'm left with is rubbish. I'm left with amazing things. Life is a gift. I'm still able to do so much of what I could and build on those things. And actually, I think be much, much better at what I do now than I ever was. So, this is one of the reasons it's leading me into event MC work and more presenting work. I'd been doing it for many years as part of all the things that I do. But these days, I can't rely on my memory in quite the same way because I'm very fatigued, and that's part of the recovery. I can't use my voice in quite the way I did because I can't project to, hundreds of people in the sustainable way that I could before. I can do it short term and things like that. But I can bring lots of different skills together and go, that part of my work previously, that'll become my focus. I love it. And it gets to use the bits that I'm still really comfy with, jettison much of the stuff that, I was moving away from anyway for various reasons. And partly that's just because you grow up and you change and your casting type changes and things like that. But to frame it as a positive choice, it's a weird one, but it feels good. Like genuinely, like cancer is a really difficult, horrible thing that happened. And coming out of it, I feel good about it. It's weird.
What a story, Drew. Tales of overcoming adversity are always inspiring, but Christophe truly is an incredible man to endure something so negative, but take such positivity from it.
Absolutely, Sam. A brilliant guy, a brilliant chat, and a brilliant story to finish this best of show.
Yeah, it was full of other brilliant moments from our brilliant season 15 guests.
Do you think we should stop saying brilliant now, Sam?
Yeah, probably, mate.
And what we actually should be doing is prepping the content for next week's episode.
Of course. But before we take the time to find some of our favourite clips for that one, we must say one final enormous thank you to Emily, Tom, Kim, Christophe, Tommy, Vittorio and Lizzie.
Yeah, thank you, all of you. And thank you all, lovely listeners, viewers, subscribers and followers. We hope you've enjoyed joining us for this highlight show, and we'll see you next time for Drewling Samantics Season 15, Best of Us.
Mm-hmm. Until then, have a good one. Cheers.
Thanks again for watching this special highlights episode of Drewling Samantics.
Remember, you can watch all our previous episodes in full, and make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.